Hi, I'm Brian at WVGamers. I'm also the lead editor of the upcoming game Skeptics by Usiak Games and Designs. In Skeptics, 1 to 4 players will work together to investigate rumors of a ghost sighting at one of 2 locations provided in the game. Players will encounter one of many of the different ghosts and will need to use the investigator tools to make their search more successful, but you'll also have to use a little bit of cunning to learn how to deal with each of the different ghosts. We're going to take a look at what's included in the Kickstarter version of the game. Now, all the first printings of the game will all include these contents, but once we get to a second printing of the game, some of the components will be removed as they were always intended to be a separate expansion. So we'll talk more about those as we pull out those components. Let's take a look at what's in the box. John decided to go with a simpler design on the front to allow it to stand out among the many other games that you'll find at your friendly local game shops. It has a bit of mystery around it, with the man standing in the doorway, shining his flashlight into the darkness. Let's take a peek at what's inside the game. This version has already been popped, so we can build out everything inside the tray, so you don't really get to see how it was before, but you'll see all the boards, the punch boards that were inside. So these are the punch boards for the ghost cards, which you'll see when we pull those out. And these would be the punch boards for all the various cardboard components in the game. Originally, the Entity, Twins, and Storybook were planned to be expansions that were going to be sold separately, or at least packaged in a separate box during the Kickstarter. We discussed it and decided to include it all in a single box, so the rulebooks are actually still how they were when we originally designed it. It would have taken a bit of time to rework these books into a larger booklet like this, so for this version, you'll have little pamphlets as well as this booklet, which was a newer piece that was designed specifically for this current Kickstarter. So what you have is you'll have the Entity rulebook. This is just basically a very small sheet that just tells you what's unique about the setup for the Entity. And that's pretty much it. The Twins is a little bit larger just because it has a little more details to it. It will give you out all the information that you need for dealing with the twins, as well as some additional information about how the game ends when you're dealing with the twins. The piece that was a new component, which was the story mode. We kind of think of this as sort of a legacy mode, because you'll go against each of the ghosts in a specific order, basically running through a bit of a story. And you can play through the game again and again, and each time you run through the entire story, the perks that you gain throughout the game, each of the runs, you'll be able to keep and get additional copies of those. At some point, you'll become quite powerful, but you'll have less time to find the ghost. So this has all the information about the investigations, as well as letters that basically build up a story for each of the ghosts you're going to go against. All right, and now we have the actual rule book. This is the base rule book with all the details of the game. We have illustrations with everything, so everything turned out really, really good in this. We're very happy with how the colors look, and the formatting turned out great. Next, you'll have the game board. The game board is double-sided. You'll unfold it, and on the one side, you'll have the asylum. Players will start here and branch out, investigating the different rooms where various evidence will pop up wherever the icons are. On the back is going to be the museum board. Instead of it being sideways, you'll play it more of a portrait. So players will still start here and branch out, going up these stairs and branching out to the different parts of the museum. The colors look so good. We are very happy with how the printing turned out for this. This one definitely shows you the colors. Everything pops really, really well. And inside, you'll have, the first thing you'll see is the ghost cards. Now, I did say the Entity and the Twins are expansions, so these will not be in the second printing or after, but they will be available via expansions. So that's the Entity, the Twins, the Child Ghost, the Shadow, Woman in White, the Poltergeist, the Apparition, and the Restless Spirit. On the backs of each of these boards will also have a bit of a letter telling you more about the investigation, some recommended items that you can use when you're loading out your special items deck, and then some additional tips that will help you in your investigation. But that is all of the ghosts. Next, you'll notice that there are these little pockets down here for the investigator pieces. There are 4 here. They do fit the base inside of the tray. And there are those. And they're double-sided, so you'll see them at either way that you have them on the board. And they just fit nicely right there. Next, you'll notice that there are the dice. Now, there is extra space in here because during the Kickstarter, we did open up an add-on for additional dice. The white dice are basically dice that will be used during certain phases of the game, but the green and the blue dice are used pretty much every single turn. So backers had the option of picking up the additional sets of dice, and we expect 2 more sets of everything will fit in here. And if you got just a couple extra sets of the green and blue dice, you should be able to fit at least 2 in here, no problem. So there is plenty of space in here. So the dice turned out very nice. Now, we'll say the green that will be in the final version is going to be a little lighter. They had an issue printing out using the color we asked for, but we did give them the Palatone color that we wanted. So, and these are etched in there. They are not stickers. And then finally you have summon die. All right. And those all fit nicely in there, and you can even pack them in there. It'll be a little bit tighter. The game will also come with plenty of little baggies in case you would like to bag up your contents. Then you'll have a couple different slots to put in cards. So you'll have card slot over here and card slot over here. We put in a little indent to make it easier to pull them out because everybody hates when you have to like bend your cards to get them out. So you'll be able to just put your finger down and pull them right up. And there's like a little indent as well to give you that little extra lift. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different types of cards in here. I'm just going to give you kind of a quick viewing of them, but these are the investigator cards that go with the storybook. So these have kind of extra perks. I don't think the camera's going to zoom in. These allow you to track your perks that you gain throughout the story mode, as well as a unique ability for that investigator. Then you'll have your special item cards. Your clues. Let's see what else we have over here. I think that might just have normal items. Normal items are reusable. You keep them on and they give you an ongoing effect. We also have individual player reference cards that will kind of give you a breakdown of what you can do in your turn, as well as the rules for some of the special things that happen throughout the game. Over here, we have more cards. This is a little punch board that came with one of the expansions. There is also a promo pack of cards that everyone will get with the first printing of the game. I'm not going to spoil what's in here, but if you go and look at the Kickstarter page, I believe we've leaked most of what those were. Let's see. We also have environment cards. These are basically things that'll happen at midnight during the game. And we have the room cards. So at the midnight of every game, you'll flip over one of these cards, and that will tell you where the ghost is appearing. Now, I know we're going to get questions. Well, will the tray support sleeves? And yes, they do. This is a sleeve card, and it'll be in there. We have various cardboard components that will be used. This is the barrier that will be used whenever one of the doors is barricaded shut. You have your little markers. You also have a tray for wooden bits. I left these in the bag just because I don't want them to go everywhere. So there's blue cubes, red cubes, and then the green door markers. And then we have under here the clock. This is the clock that will be you'll be using to keep track of the current time. Nothing on the back, just black. Underneath here, you'll have your space for your little item flashlights. Your little ghost markers. Again, the clear one is the ghost that comes in the base game. The blue one is an expansion. Obviously, the tray will have the space for it, but if you get a future printing, that space will not have a ghost in it when you purchase the game. And then you have your little magnifying glasses. All right, now we're going to take a look at the bottom side of the tray itself. We had some concerns that we potentially wasted space with the tray during the Kickstarter, basically stating that we could have put more in here if we hadn't done certain design choices. But I assure you that we've, for the most part, maximized all the space we could while keeping the integrity of the insert in place. So I'm going to pull out the insert and show you how much space is really on the bottom. All right, this is the bottom of the insert tray. You'll notice that basically everything is as close to the bottom as possible. There's just maybe a few millimeter gap between the bottom of the trays inside and the edge, just again for supporting of everything. But yeah, that shows you basically how much space we allocated for everything. So it looks pretty good. I mean, couldn't really have put much more down here. So yeah. And that is everything back into the box except for the board and the manuals. One thing I did forget to mention was the cards were upgraded during the campaign to be a black core with a linen finish. So they have a nice feel to them if you choose not to use sleeves. Speaking of sleeves, I did go ahead and sleeve all of the cards for the last part of this video to show you that all the cards do indeed fit into their slots and will be held down by the board once packed away. And that is everything that is included in the first printing, the Kickstarter version of Skeptics, the board game.